Welcome to Rambam in Depth. Today we're going to be discussing the Rambam Hilchos Tumas Eichlin Perek Tezayin Halacha Yud. The Rambam says, Kol Yisrael Musharin Liyas Tahirin B'chol Regel. Every Jew has to be prepared to be pure at every festival. He's admonished to be tahar. And the reason is because one has to be prepared in the Yontif to enter the Beis HaMikdash and to eat the sacrifices. In the days of the Beis HaMikdash, every Jewish man had to come to the Beis HaMikdash and bring sacrifices. When it says in the Torah that you shouldn't touch an avela, the dead carcass of an animal, because it makes you tameh, that was referring to regel exclusively for Yontif. However, the Rambam says, V'im nitma eila leika. If a person did become tameh in Yontif, it doesn't get malchus. Even though there's a negative commandment, uvenivlasim leisigo, according to the Rambam, the way the Mishnah Lamelech and others explain the Rambam holds it's min ha-Torah. The Ramban says it's only the Rabbanan. The pasuk is only in a smachta. But according to the Rambam, there's actually a lav. Nevertheless, there's no malchus. Any other time of the year, there is no such commandment that you're not allowed to become tameh. Of course, a kohen is not allowed to become tameh to a mess, but that's a separate halach. Question is asked. Gemara in Bava Metzia, Chaf Lamed Amud Aleph, brings the pasuk by Hashavas Aveda v'hisalamta, and you will hide yourself. You will ignore the Aveda. And the Gemara says, from this we learn, Pa'amim sha'atem misalam. There are times when you are allowed to turn away and not return a lost object. Sometimes you're not allowed to hide, and sometimes you are allowed to. What's an example? The Gemara gives a kohen bebeis hakvaros, a kohen in the cemetery. If the Aveda is in the cemetery, kohen is not allowed to be metame himself. He doesn't have to return the object. So the Gemara asks, what do you need a pasuk for that? Pshita, it's obvious, because the mitzvah of returning an Aveda is a mitzvah essa. The mitzvah of a kohen not becoming tameh is a lois asa and an essa. And an essa is not deicha, a lois asa ve'essa. An essa, a positive commandment, cannot push away a negative and a positive commandment. So the question is asked, why couldn't the Gemara use the example about a person who comes to the Beis HaMikdash and he makes himself tameh if he returns the Aveda, and here there's only one essa and one lav. There's an essa of returning the Aveda, and the lav is he's not allowed to become tameh. But there's no essa, there's only a lav. And the essa is deicha asa. So that could be the example that the Torah has to tell us that in that case, even though essa deicha asa, he doesn't have to return the lost object. So the answer is based on a Shagas Aryeh. The Shagas Aryeh discusses why it is that the Rambam says that there is no malchus. Why isn't there malchus? So the Shagas Aryeh says, what is the whole basis of this law that you're not allowed to become tameh in a yontif? You have to be mitari yourself in a yontif, because otherwise you will not be able to enter the Beis HaMikdash and bring the karbanos. Not bringing the karbanos is an essa. It's a positive mitzvah. You have to bring the karbanos. So this whole lav was there to strengthen the essa. It's not a lav like any other lav, which has its own independent character. The whole lav over here is to make sure that you are able to fulfill the mitzvah's essa. Therefore, if you don't fulfill the lav, it's as if you didn't fulfill an essa. It can't be stronger than a person who doesn't fulfill the essa. A person, let's say, he comes to the Beis HaMikdash and he doesn't bring a carbon. He doesn't bring the eilas riyah. He doesn't get malchus because it's only an essa. So here, the whole reason why you're not allowed to become tameh is so that you should be able to bring the carbon. The whole lav is there to strengthen the essa. And therefore, just like an essa has no malchus, the same thing over here. The lav has no malchus. Based on that Shagas Aryeh, the same thing could be applied here as well. If the Gemara would use the example of a person who sees an Aveda in a basic varus, and it's Yontif, and he's going to have to become tameh. So we're saying that the essa would be deicha the loisasa. No, the essa wouldn't be deicha the loisasa, because over here the essa, the loisasa is there to fortify the essa. The leisasa is considered to be an extension of the essa. And ein essa deicha essa. An essa cannot be deicha another essa. That's why the Gemara could not have used that example, because in that case, there would be no havamina to say that the person is allowed to become tameh because essa deicha leisasa, because this is a different kind of leisasa. One could argue with this teretz, but this is something that leaves room for iyun, for further investigation. According to the Rambam, as we just said, Bisman hazeh, the Shagasari is medayik, there would be no such chiyuv. There is no chiyuv to be matar atzmai beregel because we don't have the Beis HaMikdash, and if imminently the Beis HaMikdash will be rebuilt, this halacha will return, and that's why the Rambam mentions it, because it is a halacha that will be in effect in Meisa Mashiach. The Tzlach says no, the Rambam could not possibly mean that only Bismana Beis HaMikdash, because the Gemara, which is the source of the Rambam, that says Chayav Adam L'tar Atzmei Beregel, is said by Amoraim. In those days there was no Beis HaMikdash, there was no Chayav Aliyah L'regel. So you see that it's not restricted. So the Tzlach Taka learns that the Rambam holds that it's not because you have to go to the Beis HaMikdash, that's why you have to be Matar yourself, but the reason why the Torah makes this chiyuv of the mitar on a yontiv, we don't see it on a Shabbos. Why on dafka on a yontiv? Because yontiv is, in the days of the Beis HaMikdash, was a time when you entered the Beis HaMikdash and you brought karbanos. So the yontiv has a special distinction, but it's not because it is only applicable to the days of the Beis HaMikdash. However, the Shagasariya does not accept that. The Shagasariya holds that the Rambam's requirement of the L'tar Atzma Beregel is only in the times of the Beis HaMikdash when there is Aliyah L'regel. There are other Rishonim, Rashi, they're medayik from the Rashi and Yevamis, that Rashi holds that it has nothing to do with the Beis HaMikdash, because Rashi says it applies also to women, and women don't have the chiyuv of Aliyah L'regel and bringing in Eilas Tzariyah.